Hey, how you doing, guys? Today's December 1st. Hope you all doing all right. Had some errands to run, so I stopped by campus and found a little booth of Mormons who, um, their creator of their book, I think it's really funny. She's like, yeah, he created it and interpreted it from an ancient language. I'm like, are you sure you didn't just make it up? So, no. I'm like, how do you know? Because I talked to myself about it. So it's just crazy stuff. So this is just me trying to talk sense into these people, get them to think and question themselves. Some of you, only a couple of you, are like, well, why do you bother people? Blah 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 blah. If they're out there trying to brainwash people, then they're ready to have a conversation. And then at one point she's like, well, why are you out here trying to, argue with a 20-year-old? Like she actually said that, and it shouldn't matter how old you are. If you're out there trying to promote this material, then you should be able to have a discussion about it. I tried my best, and hopefully you guys like it. I'm going to start doing some more content. Um, uh, my big question, and no one's been able to answer it yet. I can't get anyone to answer it. Maybe the question's unknown. But yeah, I know I've got like 13K subscribers, but I only get like a few hundred views whenever I post something. So it's like, obviously not 13,000 people reviewing my stuff. So I know new YouTube channels get preferential treatment for being shown to other people. I'm just wondering if I start doing new content, regular content, and I get it to where it doesn't suck, the YouTube algorithm, will I get back into the good favor of the YouTube algorithm gods if I do that? Will it just be good enough if you guys share it and stuff like that? Like I should be able to promote and grow this channel, right? Is it not too late? I really don't want to start a new channel, so just tell me what you guys think. Is that a good plan? Because that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to cover controversial topics. I've got to get used to talking to the camera and stuff like that, so I want to pick apart stuff. I'm not too great with my editing. I know how to make thumbnails. I've just got to get better at editing, and I really hate editing, but I've got to do it. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, guys, here's the video. Hope you like it. Peace. And then how do you gauge who's right and who's wrong?
That's a good question. It has
So then is faith really a good way of knowing the truth?
I would say so.
But
I mean,
I just showed you that someone can have faith that you're wrong. So are they as just as right as you are?
I think it's just where we put our faith in.
Right. So they're putting their faith in that you're wrong, but
Right.
you have faith that you're right. So if faith is like, if you're going to say faith is truth,
well,
then you can't both be right, right?
I think it would just be whoever's putting their faith in God.
Why would that automatically be right and not the guy who has faith that you're wrong?
I think because he's putting in his faith in something other than God.
Why should we think that God is the statement that God is real is a true statement?
I think so.
But we have nothing to go by. We need more than just faith, right?
I think faith is a perfectly good thing to go by.
But you have to know what you're talking about.
How do you know the error is real?
We can break out a barometer and test it out. We know it's there.
That's true. That's true.
So that's not the same thing.
Right.
Error is.
When I pray, or my spiritual barometer.
What is praying though? Isn't that just like talking to yourself?
It's talking to God.
How do you know it's talking to God?
Because I have faith that He's there.
Okay, so everything's based on you having faith in something. So someone else can have faith on all the opposite things of you that you have, but you think you're more right and not them.
I don't really think I understand the question.
Well, they can have faith that you're wrong and everything that you have faith in that you're right.
I think it just goes back to they're not putting their faith in God. And
But you have to have something to show that God is the correct choice and not them, that what they have faith in. Because if they have faith that it's all wrong, isn't their faith just as strong as yours?
sure.
So then how do we determine who's right, who's wrong? Don't we need some sort of evidence? We need some sort of objective evidence that's testable, right? We need more than just a story, right? Because should we all just go around believing in extraordinary things based on just a story? I don't think that's the right way to go, right? Like, should I really believe in a God because a story tells me so? Is that...
because I don't even know what a God is, and you can't even tell me what a God is. You seem to not really care. You don't think it's important. But if we're going to say we believe in something, isn't it important that we know what that thing is? That say that that's what I believe in? Because
Do you believe in God?
I don't even know what it is. How can I believe in something that I have no good definition of?
So you have no belief in God.
I don't believe in something that I don't know anything about.
What do you know
About what?
about anything about God?
Well, I don't know what it is. People talk about it. People say they believe in one, but no one can really tell me what it is. I mean, they think it's not important, and they start talking about what they think it's done and stuff like that. But those are just extra claims on something that we don't know anything about. First, we have to know what it is we're talking about, right? I mean, we're talking about my unicycle here. I mean, what's it made of? How does it work? We can get the blueprints on it. We can see, because if I say I believe in unicycles, I know what a unicycle it is. I'm not going to say I believe in unicycles if I don't know what a unicycle is. So the same thing goes for that. I don't know why you're satisfied with saying you believe in something when you can't even tell us what it is.
Well, we believe in our church that God has a body of flesh and bone.
Right. But what kind of body? Is it a squirrel? I mean, what is it?
Somebody that looks like a man.
So God is a human man.
We know that man is created after the image of God.
Your story says that, but you don't know that.
We do know that.
How do you know that?
Somebody has seen him.
Somebody has seen what?
God.
Who's seen him? Who's seen it?
Joseph Smith.
Okay, how do you know he's telling the truth when he said that?
Goes back to what I first said. I prayed about it.
So you heard a story, you believe what he said, and to justify it, you've talked to yourself, pretending to speak to this God thing that you know nothing about, and you think that that is obtaining knowledge somehow.
I think that I don't want to argue with you. And I'm really sorry that you believe this way.
You're sorry that I question the thing that you say exists, which we have no information on? You think that that's a bad thing for me to question?
I'm going to carry on doing my thing, and I hope that you have a really good day.
Okay. So you've never been asked these questions, or what?
No, I have.
You have?
Yes.
And this is your usual response? You don't really know what to say to it? You just repeat talking points and stuff?
Do you usually go around and heckle 20-year-old girls that are...
I don't care about your age. The fact that you're out here and you're defending this position, it doesn't matter your age. You're ready for a discussion if you're out here. So there's no reason to bring up your age.
It's not a discussion when you're arguing.
What's that?
It's not a discussion when you're just trying to prove everything wrong.
But you're making an assertion, and people are going to question the assertions that you make, and that's just common sense. I mean, whenever someone goes out and tells someone, hey, XYZ exists, if I come out here and start telling people, Tinkerbell exists and stuff like that, they're going to be like, well, what is Tinkerbell? How does she exist? Where does she live? What kind of magic does she use? They're going to ask questions, and rightfully so, right? It's you going to go around and tell people about God and stuff like that, and then you feel it's wrong for them to ask those questions about what it is and how do you know it exists, because that's just common sense to ask those things, right? There should be no reason why we should deny ourselves information.
How would we ever know that anything is true then if we don't have some source to turn to?
Well, that's what we use, testable evidence for. Like if someone's going to say something exists, or certain type of whatever you want to say exists, a certain type of some sort of fish exists that we just discovered, we're going to give evidence for it. The video evidence they have, they might even have captured it, put it in an aquarium. I mean, there's lots of things we would come up with testable evidence to show this is my finding. Please verify it, and they present to other people, and they would verify all the evidence they have. So that's how we would know, right? Whenever someone says this is what exists, they would present the evidence. But if all you have is, well, I read a story, and I talked to myself about it, pretending to speak to this God thing, and therefore to me it's true. But that's not enough for the reasonable person to think that to buy into it, right? Because
it's okay that it's not enough for you, but it's enough for us. This is what we believe.
Right. But is that rational?
But
that's irrational, though.
It's my belief.
Right, but a belief can be irrational. Beliefs can be wrong. Just because it's your belief, just because you can have a belief, doesn't mean you should have one.
Okay. I think that we just disagree, and that's fine. Thank you for
We
talking
do
to us.
disagree,
What was
right?
your name?
Name is Ted.
Ted. Thank you, Ted.
Yes.
Appreciate you talking to us.
You have a good rest of your day.
I will have a good rest of my day.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that's it? You just don't want to listen and learn?
I don't really think I'm learning.
You don't think you're learning anything when someone promotes you
Ted, I
to
really hope that you have
to
a good day.
use evidence and reasonable and logic? You don't think you're learning by that? You think, oh, I just need to stay here and repeat this stuff and get other people to believe in it. That's all you need to do. You don't need to actually think about what it is you believe in. You don't think that's beneficial? You don't think questions are good? No?
People do this to us all day, and I just really hope that you have a good day.
I am
And
having a good day.
I would really love to carry on and do the things.
Would
that I
you?
wanna do.
Because it sounds like you're not. So if you really would love to, you would carry on and ask more questions back and we'd have a discussion about it. But you seem to be uncomfortable with people prying into this thing that you're promoting.
Because my job is to talk to the people who want to listen,
Your job is to talk to people who already believe in this stuff.
who believe in God.
Right. Something
I
you
try and
don't
help
know anything
others
about.
believe in God. I
You
try
what?
and help them grow faith in God.
So then why present this stuff if you can't convince the reasonable person that it's true?
Because I can't convince you, only God can convince you.
Well, you would convince them with evidence, but you don't have any. You just say
That's
you.
not the point.
That is definitely the point.
No, definitely.
Because if you're out here trying to convince these people, you should have something to give them so they can test it themselves.
What's your evidence that God doesn't exist?
The fact that there's no definition for it. We don't know what it is.
Hey, sorry, I don't want to interject.
Yeah.
You
Right.
just did interject.
I
So,
did.
There
I
you
did.
go. You wanted to.
No, he didn't want to, but he sees that this
No, he
is
did
not
want
a
to.
situation that
I
should
think
happen right now.
if it's a conversation you want to have, we can go have it with you. But she's uncomfortable right now, and so
Well, that's too bad.
it's too bad.
It's
How do
too
you mean?
bad. What's that? Well, because she's out here trying
Oh.
to convince people. She should
Okay.
know this information.
Do you have an obligation to engage in this conversation?
Yeah, I would say so, yeah.
Okay, what's your obligation?
My obligation or my motivation, is that what you mean?
Okay,
Is
sure.
that what you meant to say?
I mean, she's uncomfortable, right?
Well,
You can tell that.
It's okay to be uncomfortable. You learn from being uncomfortable. When you're uncomfortable, you challenge yourself. That's why people have debates, they have discussions, because they expose, they make themselves vulnerable to being wrong. And they listen to other people,
Okay, can we have
and they
this
grow and they
conversation
learn.
instead of
So
her
it's
then?
okay to be uncomfortable.
Can we have this conversation instead of her? Is that okay?
Okay, because she's uncomfortable?
Yes.
Oh. But you need to know that it's okay to be uncomfortable.
I know that.
So don't be afraid of that.
I'm not afraid of that.
Okay.
If I was afraid of that, I would have walked away a long time ago.
Well, he's trying to shield you from being uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I thank him
He's
for that.
your
He's a
little
really
white
good
knight
friend.
here. Yeah. Oh, can you answer her questions better or what?
I don't know. I guess it
Because you've
depends
heard.
on what
I'm
you
assuming
say.
you've heard all
Yeah.
we talked about. Right?
Yeah. So, you want to repeat your statement?
Yeah, I mean,
is your
she's here
question.
trying to tell me about God this and God that. And
Yeah.
I asked her, what is that and how do we know it's real? Stuff like
Okay.
that.
So, that's your question, what God
Yeah,
is?
what is it and how do we know that it's something that we should even care about?
Okay. So, would you say that a being could be maximally powerful, right? So let's say, obviously we have physical advantages over like a squirrel that you brought up. So would you say that there's something that could exist that has advantages over us, not just physically, but intellectually, emotionally?
There's advantages over us.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there's beings out there that probably do. You know?
Okay. So would it stand to reason that there's a maximally powerful being then?
What? I don't know what that means.
So a being that's as powerful as it could possibly get, I suppose.
I'm really not sure what that means.
How do you mean?
Sorry, I don't know what that means.
Okay.
I'm sure there's probably beings out there that do better than us physically and mentally, but I don't know what you mean by maximum or anything like that.
Okay. So, I guess the most evolved, would that be a better way to phrase it? Or the
I don't.
most...
I'm sure there's a lot of evolved beings out there that we don't know about, but
Well, I guess would a better way to phrase it be supremely intelligent?
I
Or
don't know what this word supreme is supposed to be.
Better
I know
than
there could be
anything
beings
else.
more intelligent than us.
yeah,
but I don't understand the use of supreme in that.
Okay. So let's just say hypothetically God is a being that's just vastly more intelligent than us.
So it could be some sort of alien that's more intelligent than us.
Sure.
Maybe they planted us here. Who knows?
Sure.
Okay. What about it? So
That's your question, right?
That wouldn't be
is that a
that wouldn't
definition?
be. I wouldn't classify it as God. I would just classify
Okay.
that just to be.
What would you classify as God?
An alien that's superior to us, intelligence, and
Didn't you just say that you wouldn't classify that as God?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay. So what would you classify as God? Or would you say that God
I don't even know
can't
what I don't
exist?
know. I don't know what a God is because I'm not the one who believes in it. People who say there is a God would have to tell me what it is. If that's your definition of a God, if a God is some sort of alien that has
That's
more
not my
intelligence than us-
definition. We're just trying to come to a definition that we agree to,
Well,
right?
then, I'm just saying, if that was
Okay.
it, then I could grasp that. I wouldn't use the word God for that. I would just call it an alien. But I'd still have to know what a God is. If you're not going to say that that's what a God is, then I have to still know what a God is.
Okay. So, I guess in our belief, our theology, we would say that God is somebody who possesses all good attributes. And so, I guess what would be a good attribute to you? Obviously, it might be a subjective
So
question.
it sounds like you're making a
but-
hypothetical here.
Well, it's a hypothetical in the sense that we're engaging in conversation that you don't necessarily believe. But to me, that's what God is, right?
What?
I believe that God is a being who possesses all good attributes in a supreme sense, or to the fullest extent that you can.
Okay, so that's an idea, though. That's an idea you have,
Okay.
right? Well, how could? Okay, but there's no realistic manifestation of that we know of. So that's what's important.
Okay.
If you're actually going to say it's real, you're saying it's more than an idea. You're saying it's something that actually exists in reality.
So,
That's
are you
something that we would
saying-
need evidence for.
Yeah. So, are you saying that if something has to be real, it has to be quantifiable?
It has
Is that
to be
where you-
something that we can test and understand. Yes.
Okay. So, I guess, are you married, or do you have a
No, I
wife
never
or
made that
something?
mistake.
Okay. Have you ever been in love?
Sure.
Okay. How did you quantify that?
Ability to have discussions for hours on end without getting bored and loving every moment of it. Yeah.
Why do you love every moment of it?
Because the interaction is there because your brains work together. Sometimes some people's brains work and click very well with another person's brain, and you're able to have really good conversation.
Okay, but you could say you could draw a line between that and loving somebody, right?
Well, loving is just having a rapport in addition to having that clickability, yes.
Having a rapport, how do you mean? Just
Having a
being
good
familiar
rapport with
with
this, I
somebody?
mean, you're experiencing that discussion and the ability of that closeness
Okay.
for a period of time, then you grow fond of them. It's called building rapport.
Okay.
Along with having the ability to have that good conversation, I would call that love, at least in a relationship type of context.
Okay, so would you say that you could love anybody in a relationship context like that then? Because I could say that you could establish that sort of rapport with somebody, right? Anybody?
Not with anybody, no, because sometimes you don't get along with people. So.
Okay, so let's say there's several people that are compatible, right, equally, mentally, in that sense. You have good rapport with them, you have good conversations with them, and you enjoy them. So, do you love all of them?
No, I don't know. Well, do you have a point to make instead of asking me questions?
My point is, to me, something like love isn't quantifiable. I don't measure how much I enjoy a conversation. I could rate it, but it'd be a subjective number.
I don't see why it needs
right?
to be measured. You know,
Okay, so, we can agree on that then, right? Love doesn't need to be measured.
Well,
So what things do need to be
it's
measured?
going to be hard to. What's that?
What things do need to be measured?
Why don't you make your point and we'll talk about it.
Okay, so my point is that we don't have to quantify everything, especially a relationship with God, in the sense that if I love God, even if it's just an idea, I can choose to believe that, or I can choose to believe somebody else loves me in that same sense.
But what is that thing that you call a God? What is it?
From my understanding, I explained it already, but
You have.
I have, correct. You might not have understood it, but I explained
You
it.
don't think I understood it.
You said you didn't understand it because you said you don't understand what
You
God is.
said you think a God is something that has good attributes or something like that.
God is somebody that possesses all good attributes to a maximum.
So it's a
amount.
human, or what is it?
I would say God resembles a human in that sense.
So
we're
what
his
is it then?
offspring.
If it's not human, what is it? What is it made of? Where does it live? How does it do the things it does? Like, can you answer any of these questions? Because if you just say it's kind of human, it has good attributes.
Okay.
Like you're making an idea. What do we have to measure in real life to show that you're correct in your dissection of this idea as far as something that exists in reality? Right?
Okay. So, for me personally, I would say if this idea is being presented to me, right, and I'm choosing to accept those ideals or whatever I believe that God is like, and I'm trying to emulate that, and I experience the fruits of that that's manifested as joy in my life. That's sort of follow, or
But what does that have to do with the God of the things you experience in life? I mean, how does God have anything to do with that?
so I choose to worship and emulate my idea of God, right?
Okay, your idea of God, but you're trying to tell people about this God. So
Because it brings me joy.
okay, but how is any? But we're not. A lot of people aren't going to believe in what you believe in without good evidence of what it is that you say exists.
Yes, you're right.
You're saying this God is a real thing, so it can't just be an idea. But if you just worship it and think of it as an idea, then it's not a real thing. But you come out here trying to tell people it's real. But people out here need to know, well, how do we know what's a real thing in reality? Because that's what you're saying it is.
Well, some people...
If you're just saying it's an idea, then you're not saying it's real, then I'm fine with that.
Okay.
But if you're trying to say it's real, like a God is real and it exists, and it's not just an idea, that's a problem.
Okay. So
Right.
I guess we can come to that conclusion then, that we think God is an idea, and
Right. It's an idea. I think it's a bad idea because people like to think that it
it
exists.
justifies things that are immoral in that sense, or
What's that?
are you saying that it justifies things that are immoral?
No, I just think it's bad to believe in something that
If
does
it
not
makes
show to be
somebody
true.
happy, though.
What's that?
If it makes somebody joyful, though.
Whether it
happy.
makes someone happy or not happy is not the point. Something shouldn't be believed in as far as something exists or doesn't exist just to make someone happy or not. The truth matters. Truth always matters. So the truth is, the degree to which a statement corresponds with reality. So if you're going to say a God exists, you need to give something to show that your statement that it exists corresponds with reality. You can't just say it exists and just say, well, it's an idea I have. I think this, I think that. Like, that's not going to show us that what you're saying is actually true.
Okay.
All you're doing is telling us about your idea of a God and not showing us that one actually exists.
Okay. So I believe God is true, or God is real, and so then that benefits me. And I don't necessarily see that I have an obligation to prove to somebody else that God is real.
Well, if you come out and try to tell people that God is real, then you have an obligation to show that what you're saying is true. If you don't feel
To
you
the
have the
extent that
obligation,
they're willing to accept it, right? So let's say, like another example, I could show somebody math, right? I could show somebody something that's
okay, I don't need
tangible.
an analogy. Analogies are only good to
Okay.
help people understand a point. When you say that this thing is real, you need to give testable evidence so other people can see it's true. If all you do is, do word salad or, use talking points, and you don't really show that, what you're saying is actually real. Because whenever someone says something is true or something is real, what they really are acting as is just giving you information, trying to point you in the direction of, look, this thing is real, the evidence is over here. That's what they should be doing. That's what they should be. They're only there to draw attention to a piece of evidence that shows that what they're saying is true.
Okay.
Right? That's the whole purpose of someone telling someone something is true. But if you're telling someone something is true and you don't have the evidence and you just want them to believe you, then you're not giving good information. Because there needs to be an arrow pointing to the evidence that says, oh, this is true, it's true. You probably don't, you've been so busy in life, you didn't have time to look, but I'm going to give it to you, here it is, and there's the evidence. That's what you should be doing, but you're not doing that. You're saying, well, just believe.
Okay.
So how is that giving me information? How is that giving me truth if I'm just going to be believing in what you believe? I'll just be indoctrinated into your, or brainwashed into your cult or whatever it is that you follow.
Okay. So do you feel like things like this, like religion in general, do you feel like they don't have a purpose, or do you feel like they don't produce
I don't think it's
outcomes that are-
beneficial for mankind to
Okay.
believe in theist-based religion. Any
Okay.
kind of religion where you must subscribe to things which cannot be shown to be true. I think society should be self-correcting. I think if someone says something is true and it's not, I think it's important for society to correct that behavior.
Personally, I don't believe society is capable of doing that, because society doesn't come to immutable conclusions as to what is true, what's good.
Immutable. Well,
Truth to me is immutable, right?
Well, immutable meaning
It doesn't change.
okay. Well, science means to know, right? Science is about knowledge, our knowledge.
Yep.
And we use a scientific method for that because it works. So, of course, things change over time because we learn more things.
Okay.
We come to conclusions based on the facts that we have,
Yeah.
right?
And so
So,
to me,
we're not going to have anything immutable. We're going to have information, and we're going to have conclusions based on information, and sometimes that'll change. That's just the way our knowledge works. You can't
Okay.
expect to have, absolute knowledge of something unless you want to go just so far and be like, yeah, evolution is a real science, and we know it through X, Y, Z. This is how it works. That is good knowledge. You can rely on that. But if you want to go further and be like, well, the universe, it created like this, it was created like that. That's a theory we have based on the evidence we have. We don't know really anything about the Big Bang. It's just an idea, the conclusion we have based on the information we have. It could change.
Yeah.
Maybe the universe existed in one form or another. We don't know. But science means that you're able to learn, and you can't assume to know something if you don't have information on it. So if you say God exists, you're making a claim, but you don't have any evidence for it. But you seem to care about immutable conclusions. But it's easy to make an immutable conclusion. Like, I could just say Tinkerbell exists, and I know it for sure, and that could be my thing.
I mean, so I asked you that point in the immutable conclusion, right, to illustrate that not everything can be drawn to that. So there's things that we can know they're true, right? Like if I drop an apple or if I kick somebody, then they're going to respond, right? Or the apple is going to fall, right? So that's true, always, right?
What's your point?
So the point is that, so we have these immutable truths, right? And so our object is to get to know them. Our object is to get to know them.
Gravity
so we can live
working,
according
you
to
call
reality.
gravity working an immutable fact? Is that? Okay.
Yeah, as far as the laws of physics.
Okay, so we do have
obviously.
immutable. So then we do have mutable things.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so we act according to our understanding of that, right?
Okay.
And so if we have these truths,
Truth. Yeah, I'll
right,
just call them
and-
truth. I wouldn't use the word
yeah,
mutable.
and so we have truths, and we're trying to seek a worldview, I guess, or trying to find a proposition. I feel like with what we have, it hasn't done enough.
We're still learning.
We're still learning.
We're
you're
a lot
right.
better off than we used to
Yeah.
be.
And
So
so
it seems like you're a little pessimistic that,
Oh, I'm entirely pessimistic.
there's no reason
If
to
I
think that we
was-
can't know something.
I'm entirely pessimistic in the sense that I don't believe that we can come to these conclusions on our own.
What conclusion?
If we can't know everything, right?
How do you know we can't know everything? How do you know we can't know everything?
Or do you believe there's things that you can't comprehend?
If I can't comprehend it, that means I don't know it yet. That doesn't mean
Okay.
I can't know it. It just
But
means
do
I
you
can't
think-
comprehend it
Do you
yet.
think there's things that are beyond your comprehension?
Right now, quantum mechanics is pretty good at doing that. There's a lot of things about quantum mechanics we don't know about.
Okay,
That doesn't mean
yeah.
that doesn't mean we won't know about it. Right now, we know it exists, and we know some things about it. We don't know a whole lot about it. So, but we're not. It's wrong to try to limit mankind and say, "Well, you'll never know." That's wrong. We don't know that we'll never know something. We just don't know something yet.
Well, some things are imperceptible. I mean,
What does that mean? Like how so? In what
So-
context?
I guess I'm going to have to use an example because I don't know how else to explain it, if that's okay with you. But, so, let's say we live in a third dimension, right? And so we live on a timeline. And so it stands to reason that something could exist outside of a timeline and could examine something from that perspective, but we would never know. So that's something that we could never really find out.
Yeah, but we
right?
don't know that that's actually true.
We
yet.
don't. You're right.
So it's
that's something that's
hypothetical.
incomprehensible.
It's
It's
a
a
hypothetical.
hypothetical, but it's incomprehensible.
Right. So until it's something that we have information on, we shouldn't say that we know for sure that's the truth, that's a real thing.
Okay.
The same thing for a God. We don't
Yeah.
know a God is real, so we shouldn't believe in one until we do.
So what if
We have to know what it is first.
No. And so what if, from my understanding of God, even though I don't comprehend it, I don't fully understand it, I
Which is why you
benefit
shouldn't
from
believe in it, but go ahead.
But so let's say if I believe in this, right, and joy comes into my life because of it, or good comes into my life because
That's
of it.
irrelevant.
Why is it irrelevant?
That is irrelevant because reality doesn't care about your emotions. You know,
No, I know that.
something's
but
either true or not.
I know, but I'm
if
going
your God
to.
isn't real, and you one day discover that, oh my God, I really was wasting my time on this, and you feel upset about this, like what is that famous author, Dan Barker? He was a Christian for like almost 20 years. He went
Okay.
through a 5-year deconversion, didn't like it, wish he could go back. He couldn't. but he stayed the course, and now he's an atheist today, doing the same thing he did before.
Okay.
He wants to educate people before he did it preaching.
Humans should have a desire to live their life in a way that brings them the most joy possible.
Sure, but not
Okay.
sacrificing
Truth.
Not a sacrifice truth. You shouldn't have to lie to yourself. There's always a better way of going about dealing with life than lying to yourself. That's why I'm against the whole Alcohol Anonymous thing. They try to promote the God thing like they say they don't, but they do. And I think there's better ways of telling yourself that you're powerless. I don't think telling yourself that you're powerless in that respect is going to give you the strength and ability to go forward. That's why I don't believe in it. I think that you should always be able to have truth and ground yourself in the truth and move forward in the truth, and no matter what struggle you're having. So if you're not feeling happy and you think it brings you joy, you didn't have joy before that, there's a more realistic way of doing that than joining a cult or religion or whatever it is.
Okay. Oh, that's fair. I mean, but I'm still going to choose to believe this. I mean,
Well, technically you don't really choose. It's not a conscious decision. Your belief is based on an unconscious decision determined by how well educated you are in something.
okay.
So if you educate yourself more about this, if you've read books by Richard Dawkins or Christopher Hitchens or Sam Harris,
Okay.
you've read some books like that, you might educate yourself more, then you'll find your beliefs changing because this all happens unconsciously
okay.
or subconsciously, shall I say.
But by my choice, it happens. If I choose to educate
If you choose to
myself.
read, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Right. But you're not choosing to change your belief, you're just choosing to get information.
Correct.
So you see the problem?
I can see why it would be a problem to people. To
We need
to me,
evidence.
it's not a problem.
We need evidence. You can't,
To
you
me,
can't
the
just take-
evidence
You can't
is-
take stories. I can't believe in I can't believe in Spider-Man because I read
okay.
a comic book.
I know.
I'm not going to believe in
I know.
Spider-Man because it's a
I
comic
know.
book.
So
Why
to
should I
me,
believe in a God because of the Bible?
To me, the evidence is, if the Bible or Scripture tells me to do something and promises me an outcome,
What if a comic book tells you to do something like Spider-Man? Would you follow that?
let me finish my thought. So, the promising an outcome, right? So God says, if you do this, then blank will happen, or this is true, right? And to me, those outcomes are sufficient to justify faith. Then, isn't that a reasonable conclusion? If the
No.
evidence, why not?
No, because you're interpreting it the way you want to see it. A lot of people, the Bible is open for interpretation,
Yeah.
no matter what you read. I mean, the Bible promotes slavery. I mean, it really depends on how you read it, what you read, and what you ignore. So you could think. What matters is something showing to be true. It doesn't matter what you think it feels for your life. Is it shown to be true? Sure, the Bible might say something, and you might interpret whatever action or whatever happened, reaction from what you did as beneficial to you, as reflecting in the Bible, and you might do that. But the real thing needs to come is the evidence for this God thing. Just because it tells you, well, if you do this, this will happen, and just because something does happen that you can interpret to happen, and you therefore give credit to that thing, doesn't mean that therefore what it says in the Bible is correct, right? If I wrote a book about magical unicorns, or I wrote a book about, and it included me predicting someone's going to win the lottery, and someone won the lottery, does that mean unicorns are real? No, it has nothing to do with each other. So if the Bible says do this and this will happen, and you say, oh, it happened, but then your brain says, it convinces you to think that therefore God is real because this book said this and I would feel this way. It doesn't mean that the God is real. All this means is you made the association in there of it being beneficial in your life if you did a certain thing, which is probably a good thing to begin with.
Okay.
So,
would it be an accurate statement to say that you have faith in science or in the outcomes of science?
no, I have reason to believe in the outcomes of science because it works. I don't have faith. I don't really use faith, to tell you the
Okay.
truth.
And so,
I have hope in things,
yeah.
but that's based on reason and logic.
Okay. So, if science is trying to come to a conclusion of something, there's not a conclusion of it yet, where do you operate with that?
I don't know. It's okay to say I don't know. You're all talking about how you need these immutable truths, something. The average person, the reasonable person doesn't.
Yeah.
And we're okay with saying we don't know until we do know. We shouldn't jump to conclusions before we know something. It's okay to I don't know. I don't know opens you up to getting knowledge.
Yeah.
It allows you to get knowledge. If you say you know something and you don't know it, you're going to stop yourself from asking enough questions.
Okay. So if I was to just come to the conclusion that I don't know God exists with a certainty,
That would be better.
but I will choose to follow it because I feel
That's
like
called an agnostic theist. An agnostic is someone that believes something is unknown or unknowable.
Okay.
You could be an agnostic atheist. You could be an agnostic theist.
Okay, so I guess we can leave it at that then. I haven't come to that conclusion yet, but I will take your invitation to try
Sam
to.
Harris,
Okay.
Richard Dawkins,
Mhm.
Christopher Hitchens. Sam Harris especially. I think you'll like his books.
Okay. For sure.
You're
I will
probably not going to read any
investigate
of
it.
that, are you?
I will try to remember. But no, I appreciate the conversation.
All right, guys.
And I appreciate your desire to know things. So
It's okay to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, I know.
See you, buddy.
see ya.
Oh, that was a little cray-cray. What do you guys think? Let's see what's going on over here. All right, guys, what do you think of that? That was kind of fruitful. Anyways, guys, I'm thinking about doing some videos that are going to cover different subjects, different topics. I learned to make halfway decent thumbnails, and I really need to grow my channel. I was worried that because it's been dormant for some time, I've been taking breaks from it, that it won't grow so much anymore. But I don't know, maybe if I start making some content and you guys start sharing it and it doesn't suck, that maybe I'll get some traction. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Peace.